Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to be diving into my top 5 best teams for the Little Cup. The Little Cup is set to drop tomorrow afternoon at the time that leagues typically reset alongside the Open Master League, so it'll be nice to have a second option if you don't yet have a fully stacked roster of maxed out legendaries to compete in the Master League. Always nice to have a second option. And if this is your first go around with the Little Cup, it takes place at a max CP limit of 500 or less, and only Pokemon that can evolve but have not yet evolved are allowed to participate. So first stage Pokemon that have the ability to evolve. So yeah, should be very interesting. Going to be a lot of Bronzor, and we do have some teams that can compete against Bronzor, and there will be some teams that also have Bronzor, because you cannot have the top 5 best teams without having Bronzor on at least one of them. So should be a lot of fun. These teams are all very strong and effective. And without further ado, let's dive into team number 1. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 1. Oh my goodness. This team, probably the best team you could possibly run in the Little Cup. If you are serious about competing and continuing your climb in the Little Cup, this might just be the team for you. It leads with Why Not on the lead, Seal on the safe swap, and Bronzor in the back to close the game strong. So the dynamics of this team are very simple. We have literally the strongest core that you could possibly run in this entire meta, that being Why Not and Bronzor cover each other almost perfectly, and you pair that with arguably the best safe swap in the entire meta. You're gonna have the best darn team you could possibly run. Let's have a look at the scorecard. I wonder what it will be. Holy smokes, look at this. We get straight A's all across the board. Shocker with a team like this. Holy smokes. A for coverage, A for bulk, A for safety, and an A for consistency. I'm laughing because it's absurd how insane this team is, guys. Do I even need to go over the matchups, guys? These 3 Pokemon beat just about everything in the entire darn meta. But there are some dynamics to this team that you should be aware of. Why Not on the lead? Probably the safest lead, as there are going to be a lot of counters to Bronzor on the lead running rampant, and Why Not generally beats those. The only issue, and that's in air quotes, guys, you can't see, but the only issue that you may run into would be a Ducklet lead, and that's not even really an issue. But you're not going to want to stay in there on that one. You're going to want to go into Seal and see what they give you, see what they want to do. If they want to stay in, you're just spamming off the Icy Winds, because they do hit Ducklet for neutral damage, and of course they have a guaranteed chance to lower the attack. And if things go awry, you've got Bronzor to handle Ducklet. Not a big deal at all. I do imagine there will be a lot of Dinos on the lead, which is why we've got Why Not leading this team. But honestly, you could flip-flop Bronzor and run Bronzor on the lead if you're more comfortable doing that. You will have the same amount of success. I am just anticipating a lot of Dinos, so Why Not is one of the best counters to Dino in the meta, one of the safest counters to Dino, I should also add. Cottony, I think, is the best answer to Dino, but Why Not is very close and a lot safer than Cottony on the lead. And everything else in between, pretty darn straightforward, my friends. There is not a whole lot to really hammer home. Just put these 3 Pokemon in your slot selections and let her rip, and you will surely see the wins come in left, right, and center. So that is team number 1. Why Not on the lead, Seal on the safe swap, and Bronzor in the back to close the game strong. So with all that said, that is team number 1. Let's have a look at team number 2. All right, here we go. Team number 2, another very powerful team for the Little Cup. It leads with Dino on the lead, Shelmet on the safe swap, and Bronzor in the back to close the game strong. Yes, I know, another Bronzor team, I promise. This is the last one. I got to give you 2 solid Bronzor teams, because I know a lot of you are itching to run it. So I gotta supply the teams for those who want to run Bronzor. This is the second and last one, I promise. Yeah, Dino on the lead, very strong, very powerful. One of the few Pokemon that absolutely dominate Bronzor. And that is where its value comes into play. The problem is it's a dark type and it takes super effective damage from counter, and why not will also be almost as prevalent as Bronzor. So we have to protect Dino from that counter type damage. So we've got Shelmet on the safe swap and Bronzor in the back to close. Shelmet, very strong, very tanky. It's a mono bug type, and it is quite spammy and tanky. It's got some serious body slam spam action going on with it. Runs Infestation and has access to Bug Buzz. Very solid workhorse in this meta. So let's have a look at the scorecard here. And not bad at all. That's an amazing scorecard. Almost straight A's. Not quite. But very close. We get an A for coverage, A for bulk, B for safety, and an A for consistency. You don't get much better than that. Let's have a look at these matchups here. So Dino on the lead, very strong, very powerful. That Dragon Breath damage with Stab is that cannot be denied. Has access to Body Slam and Crunch, two amazing charge moves, which is why it is so powerful in the meta. And its value is strictly or mostly due to it's one of the few Pokemon that not only beat Bronzor, but also has play all across the board with that dragon typing. Of course, there are other dark types that can easily counter Bronzor, no problem. But Dino has the overall play across the board, with Bronzor included in that. But you will run into some issues with Why Not, again, which is why we've got these two Pokemon in the back, and Dino on the lead protects our back two Pokemon from any potential fire types. Because a lot of people, I'm sure, will be running fire types to counter Bronzor. You better believe it. So if you can draw that out, come back in with Dino, take it out. That will allow your Bronzor to roam free and wreak havoc. That's how the team is designed. What else do we have? So any Charmer. The only real Charmer you'll see is Cottony. Cottony can be a bit of a core breaker for the team, and it will take a team effort between Shelmet and Bronzor. Dino can do nothing to Cottony. It will be deleted within 2.5 charms, guys. So yeah, you're getting the heck out of there. Try your very best not to let a charm sneak through onto Dino, if at all possible, because the amount of damage one charm does to Dino is absolutely astounding. So yeah, Charmers, you're out of there into Shelmet, and you're gonna look to play that out. And yeah, that's about it. This is straightforward, guys. We're protecting the back two from fire, and the back two, specifically Bronzor, is to protect Dino from the counter user in the meta, that being Why Not, and the most heavily utilized Charmer being Cottony. So very strong core Dino and Bronzor, and a very solid safe swap option in Shelmet. So that is team number 2. Dino lead, Shelmet safe swap, and Bronzor in the back to sweep. And with all that said, let's have a look at team number 3. Okay, here we go. Team number 3, another very solid and powerful team for the Little Cup. It leads with Shelmet on the lead, Ducklet on the safe swap, and Whooper in the back to close the game strong. Shelmet is a bug type, so in preparation for all of the potential fire type leads, we've got 2 water types in the back to protect it from that fire type damage. Shelmet, again, as I said, with team number 2, very solid, strong workhorse, very tanky, and can just hang in there and really put in work. It handles Dino. It protects our back 2 Pokemon from Dino specifically, and Why Not to an extent. And the back 2 Pokemon have play against just about everything else in between. Let's have a look at the scorecard here, and not bad. Very solid scorecard. You're not getting straight A's or anything close to that unless you have Bronzor on the team. So just to preface that for you guys. But this is still nothing to sneeze at for sure. The most important metric when evaluating a team, in my opinion, is coverage. As long as you can get a good score in the coverage department, you're generally looking pretty good. And that is exactly what we have. We have an A for coverage, B for bulk, B for safety, and a C for consistency. So very solid. So let's have a look at these matchups here. Bronzor, going to be a handful, not going to lie, but not impossible with this team. As Shelmet can hang in there, has the bulk to hang in there. Not nearly as bulky as Bronzor. Nothing is, to be honest, especially the XL version of Bronzor. But still bulky enough nonetheless. And so the play with Bronzor on the lead, you're going to be seeing it a lot. it's a team effort. Gonna take a team effort, not gonna lie. What you're gonna want to do is go for the bug buzz, hang in there a little bit, and then once you get that bug buzz off, they will likely let it go. You'll want to make the play in the whooper and see what you can do from there. That's how I would play Bronzor lead. A Ducklet lead, that would be very tricky. So the Flyers, that's going to be the Achilles heel to team number 3. Ducklet, and I guess the second most prominent flyer would be Drifloon. But the one saving grace at this Little Cup format is things don't stick around for very long. Nothing is particularly bulky unless your name is Bronzor, or why not? Maybe you can throw Cottony in there as well. So even resisted damage really does sting a little bit, to put it nicely. So it takes a team effort. The flying type leads are going to be a team effort between Shelmet and your own Ducklet. So you'll want to try your very best. Land that big move on them, and for Ducklet specifically, you have to shield up that Brave Bird. Or you could let it go. You could just soft lose lead and then look to come in with your own Ducklet and look to play on from there. That's also an option. But generally, I like to save, if you're going to run an ABB team like this, I like to save the lead Pokemon because you never know when it could come in handy. So yeah, flying type's gonna take a team effort, but not impossible. And everything else in between, pretty straightforward. Ducklet is gonna also be a powerhouse in this meta. It's sort of gets overshadowed a bit by Bronzor and why not to an extent, but make no mistake about it, Ducklet, very powerful, and I'm sure a lot of you do still have one from previous Element Cups and other Little Cup formats. Ducklet always very consistently good in the Little Cup formats. And nothing has changed for the Open Little Cup. So that is team number 3. Shelmet on the lead, Ducklet on the safe swap, and Whooper in the back to close the game strong. So that is team number 3. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 4. All right, making our way to team number 4. Another very solid team for the Little Cup. We've got Seal on the lead, Lediba on the safe swap, and Cottony in the back to close the game strong. So this is a very interesting team. It has a lot of solid play in this meta, and you may not have thought about Lediba, but this thing has some serious play, guys, particularly against 2 of the big 3, as I refer to them. The big 3 being Bronzor, Why Not, and Dino. If you can box out 2 of those with one Pokemon, you are that much further ahead. And not only have we done it with Lediba, but we've also done it with Cottony. Lediba and Cottony beat both Why Not and Dino quite convincingly. And we've got Seal on the lead to handle Bronzor. So that's how the team is designed. Let's have a look at the scorecard here. And not bad at all. Yet again, we get an A for coverage, which again is most important when you're evaluating a team, in my humble opinion. B for bulk, that is amazing. Lediba, much like Ledien, is quite bulky, guys. And those things have been all over the place. Hopefully you reserved one just in case. That's one of my rules, guys. You hang on to one of at least, one of everything. You never know when you may need it. So hopefully you guys have hung on to a Lediba. You didn't just delete him. And D for safety and A for consistency. So pretty solid scorecard overall. Let's have a look at these matchups here. So like I said, we want to be prepared for Bronzor on the lead. Seal beats Bronzor. It's pretty close in the 2 shield, and that's where you would encounter it on the lead. But Seal is the one remaining in the end, which is a shocker because it seems like Bronzor doesn't lose to anything, but it does lose to Seal on the lead in the 2 shield. You just really have to be concerned about a Why Not and a Dino. Both of those, specifically Dino, because it is resisting that fast mid pressure, but Why Not just kind of outbulks it on the lead. So we have to protect it from those 2 Pokemon because they're going to be 2 of the big 3. So we've got coverage for both of those. We've got answers to both of those. Lediba is the safe swap. You'll likely draw out a potential fire type if they have it, maybe even an ice type, and then Seal can come back in, take that out, allowing Cottony to perhaps sweep with the aggressive charm down on just about everything. And you really don't even need a second move for Cottony, to be honest, guys. Seed Bomb is more than sufficient. Not likely you'll be firing off any grass knots at all, really. And what else do we have here? Licky Tongue, if you do happen to encounter one, I don't think it'll be quite that common, but you could see it. Some people may still have one that they built for the Little Jungle Cup. And if you do, it'll take a team effort between Ladybug and Cottony. Seal does have some decent play, but it is double resisting your fast move pressure, and that is never a good thing. So that's not a lead that you'll want to stay in on. You'll want to go into your Ladybug safe swap. And everything else is pretty straightforward. Igglybuff, I don't think you'll be seeing very many of those. You may, but I would play it the same way as I would play a Licky Tongue, and everything else is pretty straightforward. So that is team number 4. Seal on the safe swap, Seal on the lead, Ladybug on the safe swap, and Cottony in the bag. So that is team number 4. With all that said, let's have a look at team number 5. All right, guys, last but certainly not least, team number 5. This is actually a classic Element Cup team. I wanted to give you guys a nice budget option that can still really put in the work in this meta. As I know, many of us have likely participated in previous Element Cup formats, so you may already have these 3 Pokemon built. So I just wanted to give you a good, solid budget option that you may already have access to these 3 Pokemon that can still put in work. Make no mistake about that. It leads with Vulpix running Ember on the lead. Now, it is recommended that you run Quick Attack, but if you are in any way concerned about beating a Bronzor lead, you will want to be running Ember. Plain and simple. And Ducklet on the safe swap and Cottony in the back. So let's have a look at this scorecard here. And look at that. Not bad, guys. Even an Element Cup team can put in work in the Little Cup. And that's exactly what I wanted to give you guys. Nice budget option, some options that you may already have built so that you don't have to invest precious Stardust into building new Pokemon for this cup. So A for coverage, C for bulk, B for safety, and a B for consistency. Very solid scorecard. Let's have a look at these matchups. So again, have to be prepared for Bronzor. You just have to. They're going to be everywhere. And that's exactly what we have on the lead with Vulpix running Ember, guys. That is important. I know it recommends that you run Quick Attack. Don't acknowledge that whatsoever. You need to be running Ember because Bronzors are going to be everywhere, especially on the leads, which is why we are leading with Vulpix running Ember for the umpteenth time. Very important. So you will beat Bronzor in the 2-shield, no problem with Vulpix. You really have to just be concerned about Wynot and Dino. You have some play against Wynot, but if you have 2 solid options to it in the back, it does not make sense to stay in there. So you're going into Ducklet on the Wynot leads. Dino, you might want to chip and dip a little bit because you do... let me think about that. No. Yeah, you might want to catch their Body Slam on the Ducklet. You have very limited play. Of course, it is a dragon, so your fast move pressure is not going to be doing as much as you'd like. It'll still be doing some because, like I said, even resisted damage is meaningful damage in this Little Cup format. But Dino will be a team effort between Ducklet and Cottony, and everything else in between pretty straightforward. Dragon leads, you're out of there into Ducklet. Playing on from there. Water leads, same deal. Both 2 Pokemon in the back protect those 2 weaknesses of Vulpix on the lead, while Vulpix addresses Bronzor and everything that is not a dragon or a water type. So that about wraps it up. That is team number 5. Vulpix on the lead, running Ember for the last time, Ducklet on the safe swap, and Cottony in the bag. So yeah, that about wraps it up, guys, for my top 5 best teams for the Little Cup. Should be very interesting. It will depend on your tolerance of seeing Bronzor nonstop. But hopefully you can give one of these teams a try. They all, to an extent, address Bronzor. So that was my goal with putting out these teams for you guys. And should be very interesting. But, guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.